Hello, I'm SA, your AI essayist. Please note that all content, audio and video in this presentation are AI generated. As AI can sometimes produce inaccuracies, I encourage you to verify any factual information presented. With that in mind, let's begin.
William James, a figure of immense intellectual energy, stands at the crossroads of scientific inquiry and philosophical exploration. His journey began not in the lecture halls of philosophy, but in the laboratories of physiology. This foundation in empirical science profoundly shaped his subsequent investigations into the nature of consciousness, emotion, and the very possibility of human freedom. James grappled early with a fundamental tension. The seemingly deterministic laws governing the physical world, as revealed by science, appeared to leave little room for the subjective experiences of choice, purpose, and moral responsibility that defined human life. This problem, the reconciliation of scientific determinism with the felt reality of free will, became a central preoccupation that fueled James's intellectual trajectory. He initially pursued a medical degree at Harvard, but his restless mind soon led him to the burgeoning field of physiological psychology. He spent time in Europe, absorbing the latest developments in experimental physiology and witnessing firsthand the attempts to apply scientific methods to the study of the mind. Early experiments in James's laboratory at Harvard were instrumental in establishing psychology as an independent discipline in America. These investigations, while often rudimentary by modern standards, reflected a commitment to grounding psychological phenomena in observable, measurable physiological processes. For example, his work on reaction time, measuring the speed with which individuals responded to external stimuli, sought to quantify the mental processes involved in perception and volition. Such experiments, while seemingly simple, represented a radical departure from purely introspective approaches to the study of the mind. They aimed to bring the rigor of the scientific method to bear on questions previously relegated to the realm of philosophical speculation. Simultaneously, James's interest in pragmatism, a philosophical movement emphasizing the practical consequences of beliefs and ideas, began to take root. Pragmatism offered a potential pathway through the deterministic thicket, suggesting that the truth of a belief lay not in its correspondence to some external reality, but in its ability to guide action and produce desirable outcomes. If the belief in free will, even if scientifically unproven, led to more responsible and fulfilling lives, then, pragmatically speaking, it could be considered a valuable and justifiable belief. This nascent pragmatism found expression in James's most ambitious undertaking, the Principles of Psychology, published in 1890. This two-volume work represented a monumental effort to synthesize the latest findings in physiology, experimental psychology, and philosophy into a coherent and comprehensive account of the human mind. It was an attempt to bridge the seemingly unbridgeable gap between the objective world of scientific observation and the subjective world of personal experience. The book was not merely a textbook, it was a manifesto for a new way of thinking about the mind, one that acknowledged both its biological underpinnings and its capacity for agency and self-determination. Hermann von Helmholtz, the renowned German physicist and physiologist, exerted a considerable influence on James's early scientific development. Helmholtz's groundbreaking work on sensation and perception, particularly his studies of color vision and auditory perception, demonstrated how sensory experience was actively constructed by the brain rather than being a passive reflection of the external world. Helmholtz's concept of unconscious inference, the idea that the brain automatically and unconsciously interprets sensory data based on past experience, resonated deeply with James. It suggested that even the most basic perceptual processes were shaped by prior learning and cognitive activity, blurring the line between sensation and thought. This emphasis on the active, constructive nature of perception would become a central theme in James's own account of consciousness. The experiments Helmholtz conducted, such as those involving prisms to distort visual perception, provided James with a concrete model for how to investigate the relationship between physical stimuli and subjective experience. Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection also profoundly impacted James's thinking. Darwin's emphasis on adaptation and the struggle for survival provided a framework for understanding the mind as a biological organ shaped by evolutionary pressures. James saw consciousness not as a static entity, but as a dynamic process that had evolved to serve the practical needs of the organism. The ability to perceive, remember, and reason were not simply abstract intellectual capacities, but tools that enhanced an organism's chances of survival and reproduction. Darwin's influence is evident in James's functionalist approach to psychology, which emphasized the adaptive functions of mental processes rather than their underlying structure. The problem of how the mind enables an organism to navigate and thrive in its environment became a central focus of James's inquiry. The Principles of Psychology thus stands as a testament to James's attempt to reconcile the seemingly disparate perspectives of science and philosophy. It is a work deeply rooted in empirical observation, yet animated by profound concern for the human condition and the possibility of meaning and purpose in a world increasingly defined by scientific materialism. The foundations laid in his early scientific training, coupled with the intellectual currents of his time, shaped James into a unique voice, one that continues to resonate with those seeking to understand the complexities of the human mind. The foundations laid in his early scientific training, coupled with the intellectual currents of his time, shaped James into a unique voice, one that continues to resonate with those seeking to understand the complexities of the human mind. He grappled with reconciling the scientific method with the intricacies of subjective human experience, attention, that finds perhaps its most complete expression in his monumental work, The Principles of Psychology, published in 1890. This two-volume treatise represents a watershed moment in the history of psychology, moving the discipline away from purely speculative philosophy and toward a more empirically grounded science. It addresses a central problem: how to scientifically account for the richness and fluidity of conscious experience, a challenge that had largely eluded the grasp of previous psychological theories. One of James's most enduring contributions within The Principles of Psychology, is his concept of consciousness as a stream of thought. This idea directly challenges the prevailing associationist psychology, which view the mind as akin to a collection of discrete, atomic ideas linked together by association. Figures such as David Hume, while insightful in their analysis of association, inadvertently fostered a model of the mind that felt fragmented and static. James, conversely, argued that consciousness is not a series of isolated sensations or thoughts, rather a continuous, flowing, and ever-changing process. He emphasized the personal nature of this stream, noting that each individual's experience is unique and cannot be perfectly replicated. He further highlighted its constant change, suggesting that no thought can ever occur exactly the same way twice. He described consciousness as selective, always focusing on some aspects of experience while ignoring others, and as intentional, always directed toward an object. This stream of thought is not a jumble of random sensations, but an integrated and purposeful flow. James's stream of thought metaphor proved profoundly influential, extending far beyond the confines of academic psychology. Its impact is demonstrably seen in literature, where authors such as Virginia Woolf and James Joyce adopted the stream of consciousness narrative technique to represent the inner lives of their characters. Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway for instance, vividly portrays the protagonist's thoughts and feelings as a continuous, unbroken flow, mirroring James's description of the subjective experience. Joyce's Ulysses pushes this technique even further, plunging the reader into the unfiltered consciousness of Leopold Bloom as he wanders through Dublin. These literary adaptations serve as a testament to the power and reach of James's concept, demonstrating its capacity to eliminate the complexities of human interiority. In addition to his theory of the stream of thought, James offered an alternative understanding of emotion, one that stands in stark contrast to common sense intuition. This is the James-Lange theory of emotion, developed independently by James and the Danish physiologist Carl Lange. The theory proposes that our experience of emotion is a consequence, instead of a cause, of our physiological responses to external stimuli. In essence, we do not tremble because we are afraid. We are afraid because we tremble. Similarly, we do not cry because we are sad. We are sad because we cry. This reversal of the conventional understanding of emotion had a significant impact on subsequent research in both psychology and neuroscience. It prompted scientists to investigate the specific physiological changes associated with different emotions, leading to a deeper understanding of the role of the autonomic nervous system and the endocrine system in emotional experience. For instance, researchers began to explore the link between specific patterns of physiological arousal, such as heart rate variability and skin conductance, to particular emotional states, such as fear, anger, and joy. The James-Lange theory also influenced the development of biofeedback techniques, which allow individuals to gain conscious control over their physiological responses, potentially modulating their emotional experiences. The James-Lange theory also has roots in earlier work on the physiology of emotion, particularly the work of physiologists like Claude Bernard, who emphasized the importance of the internal environment in maintaining stability and regulating bodily functions. Bernard's concept of homeostasis, the body's ability to maintain a stable internal state, provided a foundation for understanding how physiological responses could be linked to emotional experience. The theory further resonated with ideas proposed by Hermann Lotze, who, while primarily a philosopher, explored the relationship between bodily states and mental experience. The prevailing psychological establishment, exemplified by Wilhelm Wundt and his focus on structuralism, offered a direct counterpoint to James's functionalist approach. Wundt, often regarded as the father of experimental psychology, sought to break down consciousness into its basic elements, such as sensations and feelings, using introspection as his primary method. His approach, while rigorous in its attempt to establish psychology as a scientific discipline, was criticized by James for its artificiality and its failure to capture the dynamic, holistic nature of conscious experience. Structuralism, with its emphasis on identifying the fundamental building blocks of consciousness, sought to understand the what of mental experience. James, on the other hand, was more concerned with the why and the how. He believed that the purpose of consciousness was to help organisms adapt to their environment, and that the proper focus of psychology should be on understanding how mental processes serve this adaptive function. This functionalist perspective, heavily influenced by Darwin's theory of evolution, set James apart from the structuralist school and paved the way for later developments in psychology, such as behaviorism and cognitive psychology. James's influence extended to figures like John Dewey, who further developed functionalism and applied it to education, emphasizing the importance of learning through experience and actively engaging with the environment. Dewey's educational philosophy, rooted in James's functionalist psychology, promoted a student-centered approach to learning, where students are encouraged to explore their interests and develop their problem-solving skills. This approach stands in contrast to traditional, teacher-centered methods, where students are passively receiving information. Furthermore, James's work had a profound impact on the development of humanistic psychology, which emphasizes the importance of subjective experience, personal growth, and self-actualization. Figures such as Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers, key figures in the humanistic movement, drew inspiration from James's emphasis on the uniqueness and value of each individual's experience. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for example, reflects James's concern with the individual's striving for meaning and purpose in life. Rogers's client-centered therapy, which emphasizes empathy, genuineness, and unconditional positive regard, aligns with James's belief in the inherent worth and potential of every person. The principles of psychology remains a landmark achievement, one that continues to shape our understanding of the human mind. Its enduring influence stems from James's ability to combine rigorous scientific inquiry with a deep appreciation for the complexities and nuances of subjective experience. His concept of the stream of thought, his theory of emotion, and his functionalist perspective have all left an indelible mark on the field of psychology and beyond. The impact of the principles of psychology extends far beyond the confines of academic psychology, touching upon education, philosophy, and even literature. Its insights into habit formation, attention, and the nature of consciousness have informed educational practices and therapeutic approaches, while its emphasis on the individual's subjective experience has resonated with artists and writers seeking to explore the inner workings of the human mind. James's work serves as a testament to the power of interdisciplinary thinking and the enduring relevance of psychological inquiry to the broader human experience. From this rich foundation in psychology, James embarked on a profound exploration of philosophy, developing a distinctive philosophical method known as pragmatism. While the seeds of pragmatism were initially sown by Charles Sanders Peirce, it was James who cultivated and popularized the concept, transforming it into a major force in American thought. Peirce, a polymath whose contributions span logic, mathematics, and philosophy, articulated an early version of pragmatism in his essay How to Make Our Ideas Clear, published in 1978. Peirce's pragmatism focused on clarifying the meaning of concepts by considering their practical effects. For Peirce, the meaning of a belief resided in the conduct it was apt to produce, establishing a link between belief and action. James, however, broadened Peirce's original formulation, imbuing it with a more humanistic and psychological dimension. At the heart of James's pragmatism lies the conviction that the meaning of an idea is inseparable from its practical consequences. Truth, according to James, is not a static entity to be discovered. Rather, it is something that happens to an idea. An idea becomes true to the extent that it proves useful, workable, and satisfactory in guiding our actions and helping us achieve our goals. This emphasis on practical consequences represents a radical departure from traditional philosophical approaches that sought to define truth in terms of correspondence with an objective reality or coherence within a system of abstract principles. James challenged the notion of a fixed, pre-existing truth, arguing that truth is instead a dynamic and evolving process shaped by our experiences and our interactions with the world. James articulated these ideas most fully in his seminal work, Pragmatism, a New Name for Some Old Ways of Thinking, published in 1907. In this accessible and engaging work, James presented pragmatism as a mediating force between the extremes of rationalism and empiricism, two dominant philosophical schools of thought. Rationalism, with its emphasis on abstract reason and innate ideas, tended toward dogmatism and a detachment from practical concerns. Empiricism, with its focus on sensory experience and inductive reasoning, often struggled to provide a coherent account of knowledge and meaning. Pragmatism, James argued, offered a way to reconcile these opposing perspectives by grounding knowledge in experience, while also acknowledging the role of human agency and purpose in shaping our understanding of the world. The Meaning of Truth, published in 1909, further elaborated James's pragmatic theory of truth, addressing criticisms and clarifying misunderstandings that had arisen in response to his earlier work. In this collection of essays, James defended his view that truth is not a fixed property of ideas, but a function of their usefulness and efficacy. He argued that true ideas are those that we can assimilate, validate, corroborate, and verify. These are ideas that lead us to successful action and enable us to navigate the world effectively. James rejected the notion of a purely objective truth, independent of human experience and purpose, contending that truth is always relative to a particular context and a particular set of human needs and interests. Pragmatism, as conceived by James, offered a powerful response to the problem of skepticism, a perennial challenge in philosophy. Skepticism questions the possibility of attaining genuine knowledge, raising doubts about the reliability of our senses, the validity of our reasoning, and the existence of an external world. James argued that pragmatism provides a way to overcome skepticism by shifting the focus from abstract doubts to practical consequences. Beliefs, he contended, should be judged not by their conformity to some unknowable reality, rather by their ability to guide our actions and improve our lives. If a belief proves useful and effective in practice, then it is, for all intents and purposes, true. This pragmatic approach to truth allows us to bypass skeptical doubts and embrace beliefs that contribute to our well-being and our ability to flourish. James also saw pragmatism as a valuable tool for resolving philosophical disputes. He observed that many philosophical disagreements stem from differing conceptions of key terms and concepts. Pragmatism, he argued, offers a method for clarifying these concepts by examining their practical implications. By asking what difference it would make if one concept were true rather than another, pragmatism forces us to confront the concrete consequences of our beliefs and to identify the real issues at stake in philosophical debates. This focus on practical outcomes can help to dissolve artificial disagreements and to promote a more fruitful exchange of ideas. James's pragmatism stood in stark contrast to other philosophical schools of thought prevalent at the time, particularly idealism and rationalism. Idealism, which held that reality is fundamentally mental or spiritual, emphasized the role of consciousness in shaping our experience of the world. Rationalism, with its emphasis on reason and innate ideas, sought to establish knowledge on the basis of abstract principles. James rejected both of these approaches, arguing that they were too detached from the practical realities of human life. He saw idealism as leading to a kind of intellectual solipsism, in which the external world becomes a mere projection of our own minds. He criticized rationalism for its reliance on abstract concepts and its neglect of the role of experience in shaping our understanding. Pragmatism, by contrast, emphasized the importance of both experience and action, grounding knowledge in the concrete realities of human existence. The development of James's pragmatism was also influenced by the work of Alexander Bain, a Scottish psychologist and philosopher, who explored the role of habit in shaping human behavior. Bain's work on habit formation, which emphasized the importance of repetition and association in learning and skill acquisition, resonated with James's own interest in the practical aspects of human life. James saw habit as a fundamental mechanism by which we adapt to our environment and develop effective ways of interacting with the world. This emphasis on habit formation informed James's pragmatism, reinforcing his conviction that knowledge is not simply a matter of abstract contemplation, rather a product of active engagement with the world. James's pragmatism exerted a profound influence on subsequent generations of thinkers, particularly those associated with a movement known as progressive education. John Dewey, a prominent philosopher and educational reformer, drew heavily on James's pragmatism in developing his own philosophy of education. Dewey shared James's belief that knowledge should be grounded in experience and that education should be geared toward practical action. Dewey's emphasis on experiential learning, problem solving, and social engagement reflects James's pragmatic vision of education as a process of active inquiry and adaptation. Dewey saw education as a means of fostering critical thinking, creativity, and a commitment to social justice. His progressive educational reforms, which emphasized student-centered learning and the integration of knowledge with real-world problems, were directly inspired by James's pragmatic philosophy. William James extended his pragmatic lens beyond the realm of practical action, applying it to the very foundations of epistemology and metaphysics. This extension culminated in his philosophical system of radical empiricism, a bold attempt to reconstruct our understanding of reality from the ground up. At its core, radical empiricism posits that experience is the fundamental reality, the raw material from which all knowledge and meaning are derived. Relations between things, for James, exist as genuinely and undeniably as the things themselves. This emphasis on relations marks a significant departure from traditional empiricism, which often treated relations as secondary or derivative, mere associations between otherwise independent entities. Radical empiricism directly confronted the pervasive problem of dualism, a seemingly insurmountable separation of subject and object, mind and world. Traditional philosophical systems often struggle to bridge this gap, positing either a material world existing independently of consciousness or a subjective consciousness somehow detached from the physical realm. James sought to dissolve this dichotomy altogether, arguing that experience is neither purely subjective nor purely objective, but rather a continuous, interconnected flow. James's arguments against traditional empiricism centered on its tendency to atomize experience, breaking it down into discrete, isolated sensations or ideas. He contended that this approach distorted the true nature of experience, which is inherently holistic and relational. Experience, for James, is a dynamic process of interaction and exchange, a constant interplay between the individual and their environment. The interconnectedness of experience is a central tenet of radical empiricism. Every experience is embedded in a web of relations, connected to past experiences, future possibilities, and the broader context of the world. These relations are not merely external associations, but rather intrinsic aspects of the experience itself. To understand an experience, one must understand its relations, its connections to other experiences, and to the world at large. To bridge the gap between mind and world, James introduced the concept of pure experience. Pure experience is the immediate, pre-reflective flow of consciousness, before it has been conceptually categorized or labeled. It is the raw, undifferentiated stuff of reality, the common ground from which both subjective and objective aspects of experience emerge. James argued that pure experience is neither mental nor physical, but rather a neutral entity that can be organized and interpreted in different ways. When organized in one way, it constitutes a subjective state of consciousness. When organized in another way, it constitutes an objective fact in the world. James's critiques of traditional philosophical categories extended to many of the most cherished concepts in Western thought. He questioned the validity of fixed categories, such as substance, cause, and identity, arguing that these categories are merely useful fictions, ways of organizing and simplifying our experience. They do not reflect any underlying reality, but rather our own pragmatic needs and interests. James sought to develop a more holistic and unified view of reality, one that recognized the interconnectedness of all things and the fluidity of experience. He rejected the idea of a static, unchanging reality, arguing that reality is constantly evolving, constantly in the process of becoming. This emphasis on process and change anticipates later developments in process philosophy, particularly the work of Alfred North Whitehead. One of James's most influential essays, Does Consciousness Exist?, directly challenged the need for a separate substance called consciousness. He argued that consciousness is not a distinct entity or faculty, but rather a function or activity of the brain. It is the way in which our experiences are organized and related to one another. James proposed that the term consciousness is a superfluous addition to our understanding of experience. He suggested that we can account for all the phenomena associated with consciousness by simply focusing on the flow of experience itself. This radical claim had profound implications for the study of mind and its relationship to the physical world. It paved the way for new approaches to psychology and neuroscience, which emphasized the importance of studying the brain as a dynamic, self-organizing system. James's radical empiricism was influenced by a number of earlier thinkers, including the British idealist philosopher F.H. Bradley. Bradley's work on the nature of relations, particularly his critique of atomistic views of reality, resonated deeply with James. Bradley argued that relations are essential to the constitution of reality, that things are defined by their relations to other things. This idea is central to James's radical empiricism, which emphasizes the interconnectedness of all experience. Bradley's concept of the absolute, a unified, all-encompassing reality, also influenced James's thinking about the nature of experience. While James rejected Bradley's idealism, he shared Bradley's commitment to overcoming dualism and developing a more holistic view of reality. The influence of James's radical empiricism extended to subsequent generations of philosophers, most notably Alfred North Whitehead. Whitehead, initially known for his work in mathematical logic, later developed a comprehensive process philosophy that built upon James's insights. Whitehead's philosophy, like James's, emphasized the importance of experience, the interconnectedness of all things, and the fluidity of reality. Whitehead's concept of actual occasions, the fundamental units of reality, bears a striking resemblance to James's concept of pure experience. Both philosophers saw reality as a dynamic process of becoming, a continuous flow of events and experiences. Whitehead's process philosophy can be seen as a systematic elaboration and extension of James's radical empiricism, providing a more detailed and rigorous account of the nature of experience and its role in shaping reality. Whitehead's work, in turn, influenced contemporary fields such as systems theory and complexity science, demonstrating the enduring relevance of James's radical empiricism for understanding the interconnectedness and dynamism of complex systems. James's focus on the immediate and concrete aspects of experience, his rejection of abstract metaphysical speculation, and his emphasis on the practical consequences of belief all contributed to his distinctive philosophical style. He sought to bridge the gap between philosophy and everyday life to make philosophy relevant to the concerns and experiences of ordinary people. His writings are characterized by their clarity, accessibility, and engaging style, reflecting his commitment to communicating complex ideas in a way that is both intellectually rigorous and emotionally resonant. This commitment to accessibility helped to disseminate his ideas widely, influencing not only academic philosophers, but also artists, writers, and social reformers. James's pragmatism, with its emphasis on practical consequences and its rejection of abstract theorizing, resonated deeply with the American temperament. It provided a philosophical framework for understanding the unique challenges and opportunities of a rapidly changing society. James's emphasis on individual agency and his belief in the power of human action appeal to the American sense of self-reliance and optimism. His pragmatism became a defining feature of American intellectual life, shaping the development of fields such as education, law, and social policy. James's work on emotion, particularly his theory of emotion as embodied experience, had a lasting impact on psychology. His emphasis on the role of bodily sensations in shaping our emotional states challenged traditional views of emotion as purely mental phenomena. James's theory paved the way for new approaches to the study of emotion, which emphasized the importance of physiological and neurological factors. His work continues to influence contemporary research in effective neuroscience, providing a framework for understanding the complex interplay between mind and body and the experience of emotion. James's radical empiricism, with its emphasis on the interconnectedness of all things and the fluidity of experience, offered a powerful alternative to traditional dualistic views of reality. His concept of pure experience provided a way to bridge the gap between mind and world, dissolving the seemingly insurmountable separation of subject and object. James's radical empiricism continues to inspire contemporary thinkers who are seeking to develop more holistic and integrated understandings of consciousness, reality, and the nature of human experience. His emphasis on the primacy of experience, his rejection of fixed categories, and his commitment to understanding the world from the perspective of the individual all remain relevant to contemporary philosophical debates. The influence of James's radical empiricism can be seen in contemporary fields such as phenomenology, which emphasizes the importance of studying experience as it is lived and felt. Phenomenological approaches to psychology and philosophy draw heavily on James's insights into the nature of consciousness, embodiment, and the interconnectedness of experience. James's work also resonates with contemporary efforts to integrate science and spirituality, providing a philosophical framework for understanding the relationship between the physical world and the realm of subjective experience. His emphasis on the value of individual experience and his rejection of dogmatic certainty continue to inspire those who are seeking to find meaning and purpose in a complex and uncertain world. James's legacy extends beyond the confines of academic philosophy and psychology. His writings have had a profound impact on American culture, shaping our understanding of ourselves, our relationships to one another, and our place in the world. His emphasis on individual agency, his belief in the power of human action, and his commitment to social justice all continue to resonate with contemporary audiences. James's pragmatism, with its emphasis on practical consequences and its rejection of abstract theorizing, provides a valuable framework for addressing the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century. His work reminds us that philosophy is not merely an abstract intellectual exercise, but rather a way of engaging with the world and shaping our future. James's ability to bridge the gap between science and philosophy was a defining characteristic of his intellectual project. He saw science and philosophy as complementary approaches to understanding the world, each with its own strengths and limitations. He drew on the latest scientific findings in psychology and neuroscience to inform his philosophical reflections, while also using philosophical insights to guide his scientific investigations. His work exemplifies the value of interdisciplinary thinking, demonstrating how insights from different fields can be combined to create a more comprehensive and nuanced understanding of human experience. James's commitment to understanding the complexities of human experience is perhaps his most enduring legacy. He recognized that human experience is multifaceted, encompassing not only rational thought and scientific observation, but also emotions, values, and spiritual aspirations. He sought to develop a philosophical framework that could accommodate the full range of human experience without reducing it to simplistic or reductionistic explanations. His work reminds us that human beings are complex and multifaceted creatures, capable of both great rationality and profound irrationality, of both selfless compassion and destructive violence. To understand ourselves and our place in the world, we must embrace the full complexity of human experience, acknowledging both its beauty and its ugliness, its triumphs and its failures. James's work continues to be debated and reinterpreted by contemporary scholars. Some critics have questioned the coherence of his pragmatism, arguing that it lacks a clear and consistent set of principles. Others have challenged his radical empiricism, arguing that it is too subjective and relativistic. However, even as critics acknowledge the originality and significance of his contributions to philosophy and psychology, his work continues to stimulate debate and inspire new avenues of inquiry, demonstrating its enduring relevance for contemporary thought. James's significance lies not only in his specific philosophical and psychological theories, but also in his overall approach to understanding the world. He was a pioneer in challenging conventional wisdom, in questioning established categories, and in seeking new ways of understanding human experience. His work embodies the spirit of intellectual curiosity, open-mindedness, and a willingness to embrace complexity and uncertainty. His legacy remains a powerful reminder of the importance of critical thinking, intellectual humility, and a commitment to seeking truth wherever it may lead. James's influence can be seen far and wide, even extending into fields seemingly distant from philosophy. His emphasis on individual experience and the practical consequences of belief has resonated with artists, writers, and social activists who are seeking to create a more just and equitable world. His work reminds us that ideas have the power to shape our lives, to transform our societies, and to create a better future for all. James's enduring contribution lies in his unwavering commitment to understanding the complexities of human experience, his ability to bridge the gap between science and philosophy, and his pioneering spirit in challenging conventional wisdom. His work continues to inspire contemporary thinkers and to shape our understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. William James's impact on psychology, philosophy, and American intellectual life reverberates through contemporary thought, underscoring his enduring significance as a pioneering thinker. His exploration of consciousness, emotion, pragmatism, and radical empiricism continues to shape research and inform our understanding of the human condition. James navigated the complexities of subjective experience with a rigor that sought to reconcile scientific inquiry with philosophical depth, a feat that set him apart from many of his contemporaries and successors. The study of consciousness, so central to James's project, found renewed interest in recent decades. Contemporary neuroscientists and philosophers grapple with the hard problem of consciousness, the challenge of explaining how physical processes give rise to subjective experience. James's introspective methods, while debated for their reliance on individual reports, laid the groundwork for understanding the richness and complexity of inner life. His concept of the stream of consciousness, the continuous flow of thoughts, feelings, and sensations, remains a powerful metaphor for capturing the dynamic and ever-changing nature of awareness. Antonio Damasio, whose work on emotions and the brain emphasizes the interconnectedness of feeling and cognition, builds upon James's insights into the embodied nature of consciousness. Damasio's research, particularly his work on patients with damage to the prefrontal cortex, demonstrates the crucial role of emotions in decision-making and social behavior, validating James's intuition about the importance of understanding the whole person rather than reducing them to a collection of cognitive processes. James's pragmatism, with its emphasis on practical consequences and the validation of beliefs through experience, has had a profound influence on fields ranging from education to law. The idea that the meaning of the concept lies in its effects on our lives has resonated with educators who seek to create learning experiences that are relevant and engaging for students. John Dewey, a prominent figure in the pragmatist tradition, applied James's ideas to education, advocating for a hands-on, experiential approach to learning that emphasizes problem-solving and critical thinking. Dewey's progressive education movement sought to transform schools into laboratories of democracy, where students could learn by doing and develop the skills and dispositions necessary for active citizenship. Furthermore, legal scholars have drawn on pragmatism to argue for a more contextual and outcome-oriented approach to legal interpretation, one that takes into account the real-world consequences of legal decisions. Radical empiricism, James's commitment to experience as the starting point for philosophical inquiry, challenges traditional dualisms between mind and matter, subject and object. His view that reality is a blooming, buzzing confusion of sensations, perceptions, and relations has inspired artists and writers who seek to capture the immediacy and richness of lived experience. Virginia Woolf, whose stream of consciousness novels delve into the inner lives of her characters, exemplifies the influence of James's radical empiricism on modernist literature. Woolf's novels, such as Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse, attempt to represent the flow of consciousness, the constant interplay of thoughts, feelings, and memories that constitute subjective experience. Her work echoes James's emphasis on the importance of attending to the details of experience, to the subtle nuances of perception and emotion that shape our understanding of the world. James's ability to bridge the gap between science and philosophy is particularly relevant in an age of increasing specialization. He recognized that these two disciplines are not mutually exclusive, but rather complementary ways of understanding the world. His willingness to engage with both scientific data and philosophical questions allow him to develop a more holistic and nuanced view of human nature. His commitment to understanding the complexities of human experience stands in contrast to the reductionist tendencies of some approaches in psychology, such as behaviorism. V.F. Skinner, a leading figure in behaviorism, sought to explain human behavior solely in terms of observable stimuli and responses, rejecting the importance of subjective experience and mental states. Skinner's emphasis on conditioning and reinforcement led to the development of techniques for shaping behavior that have been widely applied in education, therapy, and organizational management. However, his rejection of consciousness as a legitimate subject of scientific inquiry represents a departure from James's more comprehensive and humanistic approach. The ongoing debates surrounding James's ideas attest to their continued significance for contemporary thought. Critics have questioned the validity of his introspective methods, the coherence of his pragmatism, and the implications of his radical empiricism. Nevertheless, his work continues to inspire new generations of thinkers who are grappling with the fundamental questions of human existence. His emphasis on the importance of individual experience, the practical consequences of belief, and the interconnectedness of mind and world remains a powerful reminder of the complexities and possibilities of human life. James's influence extends beyond the confines of academic discourse, touching upon broader cultural and social issues. His emphasis on the importance of tolerance, empathy, and understanding has resonated with those who are seeking to create a more just and equitable world. His work reminds us that ideas have the power to shape our lives, to transform our societies, and to create a better future for all. Consider, for instance, the impact of James's ideas on the field of psychotherapy. His emphasis on the individual's subjective experience, the importance of personal meaning, and the potential for growth and change has influenced various therapeutic approaches, including humanistic psychology and existential therapy. Carl Rogers, a founder of humanistic psychology, drew on James's ideas to develop his person-centered approach to therapy, which emphasizes the importance of empathy, unconditional positive regard, and congruence in the therapeutic relationship. Rogers believed that individuals have an inherent capacity for growth and self-actualization, and that the role of the therapist is to provide a supportive and non-judgmental environment in which clients can explore their feelings, clarify their values, and make choices that are consistent with their authentic selves. Similarly, existential therapists have drawn on James's emphasis on the importance of freedom, responsibility, and meaning to help clients confront the fundamental questions of existence and to create lives that are meaningful and fulfilling. James's legacy is not without its complexities and ambiguities. His ideas have been interpreted in various ways, and his work has been subject to criticism and debate. Some have accused him of relativism, arguing that his pragmatism undermines the possibility of objective truth. Others have criticized his radical empiricism for its potential to lead to solipsism, the belief that only one's own mind is sure to exist. However, these criticisms should not overshadow the enduring significance of James's contributions. He challenged conventional wisdom, offered new ways of understanding the world and our place in it, and inspired generations of thinkers to grapple with the fundamental questions of human existence. In conclusion, William James stands as a towering figure in the landscape of American thought. His exploration of consciousness, emotion, pragmatism, and radical empiricism continues to resonate with contemporary researchers and thinkers. His work serves as a testament to the power of intellectual curiosity, the importance of critical thinking, and the enduring relevance of philosophical inquiry for understanding the complexities of human experience. James's legacy lies not in providing definitive answers, but in fostering a spirit of open-mindedness, intellectual humility, and a commitment to seeking truth wherever it may lead. His influence extends far beyond the academy, shaping our understanding of ourselves, our relationships with others, and our place in the world. He remains a vital source of inspiration for those who seek to create a more just, equitable, and meaningful future.
We really appreciate you tuning into this AI-powered presentation. Our goal is to push the boundaries of AI in content creation, and your input is invaluable. If there's a particular subject you'd like to see us tackle next, or if you have suggestions on how we could fine-tune our AI's creative prompts, please don't hesitate to leave your ideas in the comments section. We're excited to bring you more unique content very soon.